North Korea. What we're saying here is, let's say 100,000 new troops into the force of Japan's army wouldn't dispel North Korea from being fired over the Straits of Pacific and into Japan. But rather, it will just make North Korea more anxious. You'll see that Japan is a threat that's looming over to North Korea, and it sees that it's surrounded by enemies. And what will it do is that it will first strike at the one that's most vulnerable, and that would be Japan, weak with the weakest military. And we are saying here that even with an army, they are not going to be able to defend themselves. Even with a military, they are not going to be defend themselves against nuclear missiles. Even USA, with its largest standing military, has no guarantee of being able to defend itself against a missile. And we are saying here that even with Japan, even with its army, it will not be able to defend itself. Yes.
Isn't that precisely why Japan should have its own military to defend itself? Even, like you said, the major power, United States, cannot have having a defensive military.
We are saying here that what they're defending against is a nuclear missile. And what is Japan going to do about that? It has nothing to defend itself. And even if there's a military, it cannot defend itself with more people. In fact, with more people, it will just threaten North Korea into attacking Japan. And more people will die because there's more troops packed into these military bases, which will become a target of North Korea's nuclear missiles. And my second remark about how they are talking about harnessing their technology into military use would be better for Japan. They're talking about how technology could save people from keeping them from the war. We are saying here that these technologies such as the UNUV or the unmanned vehicle will still need these engineers to run. And let's say, okay, one unmanned vehicle could need around 5 to 10 engineers to take care. We are saying here that this will still require people, and there's still not enough people, as I'll go on later with my point about how the resources of Japan is not enough to support its military. And you say that, and you do see why their technology did not be developed in Japan and donated to forces of NATO. I do see why they can't develop better drones that shoot missiles at other drones or drop bombs into Pakistan. Can be developed in Japan and sent over to NATO, sent over to USA, and that's yes, ma'am.
We see that if North Korea is going to invade Japan, we think that they should have the right to develop weapons and technology to drive them out and drive into their country so that they will never attack us again.
Yes, and we are saying here that what North Korea will be doing is sending missiles, not troops, over the borders of Japan, and there's nothing Japan can do to defend itself against nuclear missiles. So now I'll go on to my point again that Japan does not have the resources to support military requires money, people, and land. Firstly, why doesn't it have money? A military requires a large chunk of a large percentage of GDP. They are saying here that Japan has already overmatched itself. Its economy is geared towards maximizing profits and does not have the money to be channeled to military. Same with people. We are talking about a population where 60% are elderly or 65 and above. Can you believe Japan sending its military of around how many elderly? And we are talking about Japan's landmass. Japan landmass, in order to have a military, it needs a base, and therefore we say that Japan with its mountainous area does not have land for the base. And we say because of this reason of resource-wise and how a militarized Japan be a bigger threat, we say that go with the opposition.